right there. And we'll switch over to this one. It is Bill Maher. Is it Maher? I always forget how you pronounce his name. Bill Maher talking about whether it was better in the past or better now with all our diversity and, terrorism and those kinds of things, right? It's kind of a hard call because it was so white, and that's disgusting, right? It used to be white in our countries, and that's bad. All right, listen to this. I want to get your take on this, Jason.
But it just reminded me that here I'm a kid who had, I think, a normal middle-class upbringing. I consider it an idyllic time. I consider it an innocence you couldn't buy today. I mean, first of all, I grew up in New Jersey in the 60s. There was no racial issues because there was only one race in town. That's just the way it was. I'm not saying that.
Can you catch that, folks? Now, he brilliantly solved racism in a sentence right there. He solved racism right there. Listen to that again.
In the 60s, there was no racial issues because there was only one race in town. That's just the way it was. I'm not saying that's good. It wasn't. But
exactly. That's not good. It's not good not to have racial issues. We got to have a lot of racial issues. That's good, right? We got to have a lot of conflict between different races. We got to have a lot of issues where there's constantly racism at the forefront because that's good.
That's just the way it was. I'm not saying that's
good.
Go
ahead, Jason.
No, I just know. Please, you can continue to. I mean, it's hilarious that he caught himself.
Yep.
He was speaking the truth there.
Yep.
He was saying there weren't any racial issues because there was one race. Oh, that's not good, by the way.
That's dangerous. That's Nazism, ethnostate.
There was no racial issues because there was only one race in town. That's just the way it was. I'm not saying that's good. It wasn't, but that's so. There weren't racial issues. There weren't drug issues. I didn't try pot in high school.
His beer was
maybe there was.
Go ahead.
A moment ago when he accidentally said that he
Yeah.
didn't try pot, so he wasn't exposed to drugs. Didn't have terrorism. Didn't have racial issues. Didn't. I guess in his school they weren't being discriminated against as our people are now. They were not being encouraged into suicide by hating our people. So it was evidently much worse back then.
And evidently too, since he's Jewish, I guess he had no issues with anti-Semitism either. Then, right? He hasn't said anything about that. He had a good upbringing, because everyone was white. Anyway, let's listen to the rest of this.
There weren't drug issues. I didn't try pot in high school. Maybe there was a rumor that a few kids were doing it, but that wasn't even a thing. There wasn't even any divorce. It was really the land that time forgot. It was Leave It to Beaver land.
Horrible.
That's how I was raised. I was raised too. Came home from school, fly into the house, change into my play clothes, fly out the door. My mother never said, "Where are you going? What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And
you were gone. Yeah.
And again, in Leave It to Beavertown, there was a 6:00 whistle.
Really?
Yeah, at the firehouse, the whistle went off.
Time for dinner?
And then and then you got your ass home when you heard the whistle. We didn't have watches or phones or,
Oh my God.
I don't want to compare. It's a different world for sure between the way we grew up and the way they're growing up today. I don't know what's better.
That's right. Can you believe that?
Brain dead? Is that guy actually brain dead? He
Yes.
knows what's better.
Nope.
He knows what side of the bread is buttered. That's what he knows. He doesn't know which is better. Well, he better say now is better because he'll lose everything he's got going on. And so will this guy. He's genetically Jewish, but he grew up in a Catholic family or whatever it is.
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Our guy. Good Lord. They're talking about a reality. I can't believe that they were so laid back. Maybe they got high before they did the show.
It must have. But it's an amazing admission.
Yeah.
But it also encapsulates this issue that the fact that they've outlined everything that proves that the way it used to be it was healthier, it was safer, there was no issues, there was no racism, there was no, nothing. But it's still at the end after outlining all those things, at the end of that, they still have to say, but it must be better now, right? It must be. We can't sit here and say that it was better in the past, because that would make us some far right, alt-right Nazi traditionalists or something, right?
Yeah. Yes. That you would be absolutely be a heretic if you. And I am actually amazed. Now, I would look for both of these losers, anti-white losers, to in the ensuing weeks since this was recorded, to record some more vehemently anti-white stuff. Because I mean, Maher tried there to say, well, it was the land that time forgot, to disparage everything being wonderful and safe, no issues, no drugs, no divorce. What a world! Who would want to live there when you can now live in this world where everybody's committing suicide, covering themselves head to toe in tattoos to escape their white flesh, using all manner of drugs to white flight away from being white, dating other races to white flight away from being white, producing non-white children, biological white erasure. Well, it's so much better today.
Absolutely.
Absolutely ridiculous. And I can't believe that these two, I don't know how many people ended up hearing this, but I hope it goes around the world many times. The anti-whites revealing this sort of thing, and it happens every now and again. They get it on video and all.
Slip up. Yeah.
Beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful, because there's no escaping it. Here they are saying, well, it's got to be better now. Just like
I don't know what's better. Growing up now, right? It's got to be better now. Right?
You can
all
get
issues.
coronavirus now. You can get blown up. You can get run through with a scimitar. Think about when they were kids.
Gang rape by Asian gangs. I mean, there's a lot of upsides to all of this.
There was no likelihood at all that you were like trading like baseball cards.
You couldn't get tacos. I mean, let's be honest about that. You couldn't get tacos. You couldn't get pizza. You couldn't get Lebanese, chicken or something, or Moroccan chicken. You could, it's yeah.
Well, there was this was many years ago. Very briefly, there was a little town in the Midwest somewhere, I think, that was 100% white, and I think this MTV channel went there and they said, "What's 100% white? Isn't it awful?" And then all of the white kids, of course, they wanted to be on TV, and they said, "Yes, it's so awful. It's so boring here. Nothing ever happens here. It's so boring." And then, of course, the government and these NGOs moved non-white people into this community. And I don't know what it was about these particular doctors, engineers, and geniuses, but suddenly there were rapes, suddenly there were murders and everything. I think it was 10 years later, this white positive organization showed the data from now and then 10 years prior, before they were moved in. And now you see how exciting it is. Everybody wondered about the little white girl with the blonde hair, 11th grade or whatever she was, and she said it was so boring there. I wonder how interesting it became for her.
Yeah.
I mean, did she get something as interesting as rape or murder, or maybe her child raped or murdered? Life changes in so many interesting ways when it becomes anti-white.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Yeah. Remember that clip, guys, because it's such a admission and a slip up. But as you said, we get those quite frequently. And then also our enemies have painted it. They've painted us so far into the corners with name calling and accusations that although you can be consciously aware of all the things that are beneficial to the way that we argue that things should be run, that everyone should have their own nation, all groups should have the control of their own destiny, they should have their own country, their own territory, whatever you want to call it, and you can still have trade, you can still travel, have tourism. It's not that it's not built on the hatred of others, right? But you have concern for your own and where this is going in the future, because as we've seen, the trends show this is not developing very, very good. And if we are going to be turned into minorities in our own countries, we will be hated and hunted, resented minorities in our own countries. And no one wants that. No one wants that type of conflict. They do, maybe, to be honest, but we don't.
Precisely.
All right. Actually,